Anna Kasparian was on Chris Cuomo last night, and she took issue with some of the way another guest on the show was presenting the impeachment inquiry, some of the right-wing talking points that he was spreading. Here's how she responded to that.
If I were the Democrats, I would want this to be held open and very fair, very transparent, because they've got a lot of convincing to do.
I am so tired of Democrats constantly caving to the type of framing that Republicans demand. Finally, for the first time, you have Democrats standing their ground. They have absolutely no obligation to hold that vote. I believe that the way that they're conducting this investigation is not only legal, it's the correct way to do it. And the reason why they're not holding open hearings is, number one, in 2015, John Boehner pushed for and successfully accomplished a law that indicated that they could do these closed hearings.
True.
And more importantly, we don't need a circus right now. What we need is to get down to the facts and figure out exactly what's going on.
There's a lot of good moments in that.
Yeah, my two favorite parts were Cuomo go, true.
It's the opposite Trump. What does Trump do? Fake, lies. What was the one?
He would lean in wrong. That's what it was during the debates. Wrong.
No, Anna, you're the puppet.
Okay, so my second favorite part was when she popped that guy's knee out. She's like, bam, like, oh, God damn, yeah, man. And when she's like, waiter, receipts, please.
Well, and also one of the points that he makes, this is a general thing whenever you watch interviews like this, when he's like, if I were the Democrats, I would just discount everything that comes after that, because the last thing he wants to do is give the Democrats advice. Meghan McCain always tries to play that, like, I think what they should do is this. They should jump through these hoops that I will lay out. I will never support them even if they did that, but it would be convenient for me as a right winger if they were to do what I say.
My favorite is when they give us electoral strategy. I think you should pick the weakest Democrat, the one that no one really likes and is polling at 2%.
Yeah.
That's why Trump is tweeting at Joe Biden like, I hope to see you in the general, sir. Like, all right, well, now we know who we probably shouldn't elect.
Yeah, and also, so the reason that he goes into here's what I would do if I were the Democrats is because he doesn't want to talk too much about what's being done right now, because although he's there to imply that there's something nefarious about it, he knows, as she knows, that these were rules that were set up under John Boehner. The process is going forth in pretty much the same way it was back in the 90s. They're doing some initial fact-finding interviews, of which we have, let's be honest, we have a lot of information about what's going on in those rooms regardless. The Republicans have even more because they have dozens of their members who are serving on those committees, and they're there for all of those interviews. They want you to forget that, but it's true. So you can't actually take issue with the process on specific substantive grounds. You can only talk vaguely in circles around the process.
Yeah.
And really fast on that, one of the things that I loved about this is we know that the Matt Gaetz, the brovasion of the rooms was a big stunt, that's all it was. But AOC pointed out one particular way that it was really a pathetic stunt. Ryan J. Riley had reported that Fox News reports that some Republican members, quote, asked to be arrested during that. And so she said there have been many aspects of the GOP's little flash mob that have relied on mountains of entitlement and privilege, but them asking the police to be arrested is just, well, let's just say my community would find it hard to understand why anyone would ask to be arrested. But we know why they want to, so that then he could come out and say, I was thrown in the slammer for just trying to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderfully said. So I decided next time I'm debating a Republican on TV, I'm going to flip it on them. So, if I were the Democrats, I would just surrender, they usually say, along the lines of John, what John was saying. I'm going to flip it on them. If I was the Republicans, I wouldn't support a criminal president, but I guess you went in a different direction. So I find that to be a little bit more egregious than some obscure process thing that you're complaining about that isn't even true, as Anna pointed out.
Just ask them if they're scared. Just that, like, are you scared? But say it like that. If I were a Republican, I'd be scared.
Okay, we got to get you on Cuomo now. But there is more of Anna's appearance. Here she is.
Chris, guess what? Jeff Toobin, okay, our colleague on the show previous, on Anderson's show, said, most of this stuff is hearsay based on top of hearsay. Okay, you know it. You're a lawyer.
This is not a trial. It's not a legal process.
Chris, you're a lawyer. Would you take hearsay upon hearsay? Come
when
on,
you have
listen.
members of Trump's administration testifying against him, you have a US ambassador, Bill Taylor, under Trump's administration testifying that there was quid pro quo.
Right.
You have
It's hearsay
Donald
based on
Trump's
hearsay.
chief of
It's not
staff,
hearsay
Mick
based on hearsay in
Mulvaney,
every case.
You know that,
specifically
Dave.
saying
Not in
there's
every
quid
case.
pro
Absolutely.
quo. We do quid pro quo all the time. I mean, you have members of his own administration saying it, and then
Chris,
you
you're
have
better than
Donald
this.
Trump
Hold on a second.
constantly
Dave, don't
intimidating
make it about me
individuals
being
who are
good or
coming
bad.
forward.
Chris, you know that you would not bring a case based on hearsay. You would not proceed forward with a case based
Hold
on
on,
hearsay.
how is it hearsay if Bill Taylor?
Are text messages
Hold on,
hearsay?
can I- yeah,
Are
text messages are not
between
hearsay.
Bill Taylor and Gordon
had
Sondland
conversations.
Anna's 100% right there, and I found most of what Cuomo said there to be incredibly frustrating. But look, the Bill Taylor stuff is great, and it's not hearsay at all. It's literally, he said, it's not hearsay. But more importantly than that, Donald Trump put out the transcript of the call, and everything you need to know to be extremely concerned about whether crimes were committed was in there. It wasn't hearsay, it was he printed it out and presented it to us.
Yeah, I just like how Anna's doing a bit of a better job than Chris is at that moment.
Well, she's
Very
the
much
one
so.
debating, to be fair to Chris.
No, Chris is doing a great job. I'm not saying thank you for having TYT people on. Love it, love it, love it.
Do more of
But
that.
also the other dude, I don't know who he is, but he's like, Chris, you're better than this. When Anna's talking, like as if to say,
Yeah, that's right.
oh, you're better than having Anna Kasparian on and almost a little sexist, like this woman tell you what you're doing.
No.
I didn't like that at all.
Francesca, I totally agree with you. I got the same vibe. Like, I won't even deign to talk to this woman, right?
Yeah.
And what does Chris, you're better than this mean? It means you should shut her up, right?
Yes.
Like, why are you allowing her to say things that are demonstrably true, right? So that hearsay talking point is from months ago when the whistleblower, it's just hearsay. Now, some of the things that the whistleblower had was direct evidence and some of it was hearsay. But to John's point, we're not talking about that anymore because we already have a rough transcript, and even that shows that he did do it. And then we have the text that Anna mentioned. None of this is hearsay. Then we have Taylor come in as a witness and say it was quid pro quo. That is not hearsay.
Add everything Rudy Giuliani said on Fox News.
That's not hearsay. None of it is hearsay. He's gone to an old talking point, and he's basically saying, how dare this liberal woman disagree with my old talking point and prove me wrong?
He didn't get the update. See, Republican talking points are like iOS updates, they're like software updates. You know, you can't keep ignoring the update because then you don't get the new talking points.
And I've been frustrated about a lot of stuff as we've proceeded with this. But one thing is that we're still hearing from Trump primarily, but from others, attacks against the whistleblower. They really want to know who it is, what's the source and everything. But from my point of view, and I acknowledge we've got the text messages, we got Taylor's thing, all that contextual stuff. The whistleblower raised the concern that I heard crazy stuff on a phone call, you need to look into this. So we got the phone call. What do we care what the whistleblower told us to look into it, so we're looking into it, we got it. It would be great for him to come and say, yeah, I was really concerned about the phone call, and you can literally look at it, it was really bad. But I don't get why we're still focusing so much on the whistleblower. We have primary source material that indicates a criminal quid pro quo.
I think that when you have a guest, and I mean, I get and I like that there are, sort of left and right debates on programs like Cuomo's. I think that's important, but when someone goes on to television, and I've like PBS is actually a good example. Like we always talk about, cable news, but like PBS and NPR are super guilty of doing these things too, which is both siding something. They'll have people on who continually lie.
Yeah.
They're lying about the facts. So then as the media, what do? I mean, it's the Kellyanne Conway syndrome. It's like, do we continually invite this perpetual liar back on or not? And I feel like at some point we have to just let him go.
Yeah.
Just not put him on television anymore if
they
you're
would
gonna
never do
continue
that.
to lie.
Yeah, look, and so we get criticism. They say, why don't you have more conservative voices on? What am I gonna have a guy, look, you find me honest conservatives, and I do have them on. John Ziegler, don't agree with him at all. And we've had wonderful, hilarious shouting matches, right? But he's an honest conservative. He genuinely believes the things that he says, whether you agree or disagree. And I can name you a couple of others. In fact, Hilton from Fox News, honest conservative. I've had him on, and sometimes we actually wind up agreeing when we're having an honest conversation. But 90% of the people that go on cable news to defend Trump, or just even Republican talking points, are purposely dishonest. so that we don't have them on. And the mainstream media goes, why don't you even it out by having some liars on too?
Obviously I agree. Like today on the Damage Report, I had an activist start a nonprofit around autism. I did not feel any sort of need to add on someone who feels like we should be funding autism research less. I don't know what that would have added. But obviously, I don't think that the network is requiring that sort of balance because they think that it gets you to the truth. They do it because it's an investment over a long period of time that has resulted in the right wing respecting CNN. No, it hasn't. It hasn't worked at all. So why are you doing it? It's a complete waste of time. They don't care about you. They hate you. They think that you're fake news.
Yeah, I understand. They have political pressure, they have economic pressure, they have media pressure, and a culture of groupthink, in my opinion. But again, look, I get that we have a self-interest here. We kidded around about it earlier, but you have to give Cuomo and CNN a lot of credit because it's a very rare show that bothers to have an actual progressive on.
That's true.
Against these guys. Normally it's one of those guys who blah, 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 and like a meek Democrat going, sorry, right?
Yeah.
So this is much more preferable to that, which is 98% of cable news.
Love you, Chris.
Yeah.
Love you, Chris.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.